All right, we are going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I think agenda stays as is, no changes, no adjustments. Can I have a motion to approve the May 10 meeting minutes?
I move that we approve the May meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Do we have anybody? I guess, I don't think we have anybody online for
Nathan's joining.
Nathan's joining for public comment. No.
We didn't receive any requests either.
Okay.
Into our inbox.
All right, sounds good. All right, then we'll move on to unfinished business. Appeal process for on-site sewage disposal permits.
That's Nathan, I think.
Yeah, is that Nathan and Dr. Reedy? Is it, this is the appeal process you guys have been looking into?
Yes.
Yeah, and can you all hear me okay?
We're gonna turn you up, Nathan.
Yeah.
Okay,
A little louder here. Try now.
on my little notebook computer, sometimes it's not quite as good. Yeah, so I have been looking into it, and I have had some discussions with a couple of attorneys, maybe 3 attorneys in the line of command. And also, I was following up with one of the paralegals up there who was promising me that he was going to get some movement on this issue, and so far they haven't. So I'm basically instructed or informed that we wanted some input from the AG's office, most especially because one of the lawyers, or the lawyer, I guess, for the in your chain of command up there in the health related structure up there in Charleston, directed Dr. Reedy to try to get some input from the AG's office. And anyway, I just don't have anything yet, and I do have this paralegal who is promised me that he was going to get some movement and figure something out for me up there. And I think that he just hasn't done it yet. So anyway, that's where I am. And again, I hope that we'll be able to have some input on this and get this straightened out. I may end up just getting Dr. Reedy to write them a formal letter requesting some information, and maybe that would be the best way to go about it. Anyway, that's where I am. I am also doing like a couple of other things at the same time right here, and one of which is attending a CLE that I have to attend. And so I don't really think there's anything else on the agenda that you need me for, so I may just sign out of the meeting if that's okay.
And do you guys need him for anything else? All right. All right, good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Keep your luring lawyer.
Okay.
Thanks, Nathan. All right, and then we've got the proposed environmental fees.
Yes.
So we've been out for public comment, right?
Yes,
Okay, that's ended.
yes, it has. It ended on Monday. And we received no comments.
Okay.
So
And where was it put? Like, I know, like, social media,
it was
website.
Facebook, our website. We posted it in the building as well, and we also sent it to the county commission to post it there
Okay.
and on their website. I don't know if they did, but we
Okay.
always request it. So,
Okay,
and at the state registry.
okay,
So.
all right. So having no public comment, I guess you guys just need a vote for us to now send it to the county commission, correct?
Yes, if you,
All
if
right.
you're so inclined.
I don't think we have a choice now, do we? I mean, we have a choice on voting.
You do, yeah.
But is there a motion to go ahead and accept the proposed fee increases for
Um,
submission.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I move we accept the proposed, environmental fee increases, and forward those on to the county commission for approval.
I second.
All right, any discussion?
One thing that I did want to there's one small amendment that I wanted to make that I forgot about until just now, and that was that I forgot to include the B and B food establishment fee in the actual rule, even though it was on the chart with the proposed versus current.
Okay,
So I just wanted to add that into the actual rule before we send it to the county commission.
okay, but it was part of the public comment.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
Yes,
so,
and
Um,
it's a lesser fee than the regular food establishment fees for the
right,
bed and breakfast.
so then do we need to amend our motion then?
You might need to,
Yeah.
so we can approve that.
Okay,
Can I just ask,
Approve it with
is
the
the,
change.
so this, what we're approving is the policy with the fee schedule?
It's a
protocol. The
rule.
rule,
So this is what you're approving is the new rule and to go to the county commission as well. So yeah, after your approval, but with the amendment of adding in the bed and breakfast fee for food establishment permits. And that fee will be, I think it's $78. Where is it? Food permit, bed and breakfast. $78.
okay, all right, so Anne, would you like to amend your,
Yes, I would like to amend the motion to add the bed and breakfast fee of $78 to this list.
Right.
Is that enough?
Second.
I think so, yeah. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, moving on to call sign Charlie.
So that does mean we'll be making a slight amendment to the budget in July. For the July meeting, that changes some numbers.
Yeah,
a
'cause
little
we
bit.
approved it
First
based
it has
on,
to be approved by
yeah,
the
so
Right.
county commission, but yes.
Right, yes.
Good morning, thanks for having us here this morning. I am going to first present the April 30, 2024 financials. Bank balance, $372,000. We're in compliance with reserve requirements in excess of $10,000. As far as the financial summary, looking at April alone, we have revenue of $184,000. We're going to reduce that by salaries and wages of $104,000. And operating expenses of $9.6 thousand, give us a surplus for the month of April alone of $70,000. Now looking at fiscal year to date, so July 1st of 2023 through April 30th of 2024, revenue 1.4 million. We're going to reduce that by salaries and wages of $995,000. And operating expenses of $346,000, give us a surplus through April 30th of 2024 of $75,000. Accounts receivable stand at $565,000. 65% of that is related to West Virginia Treasury, so that should all be collectible. Looking at our budget versus actual revenue is 12% above budget. Salaries and wages, 6% more than what we budgeted. And operating expenses, 37% above what was budgeted. Nothing new there. That's mainly vaccines and then some of the renovations for the building. Looking at prior year, April 2023, there was a surplus of almost $19,000. And the surplus for April of 2024 was $75,000.
Sorry, which page are you on?
Oh, sorry, that's the very last page.
Page 3,
Page 3, profit and loss previous year comparison.
thank you. Thank you.
So do we need a motion to approve this?
Any other updates before we do that?
Not for April.
Yes, please.
I move we accept the April 30th, 24 budget or financial reports. Sorry.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ann?
Aye, sorry.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you.
I'm with you on that one, Ann. It's all right.
Next, I have the May 2024 preliminary statements for almost 92% through the year. Bank balance, $378,000. We're in compliance with reserve requirements in excess of $19,000. Looking at the month of May alone, as far as financials, we have revenue of almost $55,000. Salaries and wages, $151,000. I'd like to note there were 3 payrolls in May. Operating expenses, a little over $2,000. Leaving us a deficit for the month of May of almost $99,000. May usually is a lighter month historically, and we'll see that more here in a second. Fiscal year to date, revenue, 1.47 million, salaries and wages, 1.1 million, and operating expenses of almost $49,000. Leaving us a deficit through May of $23,000. Accounts receivable improved, 446,000. 70% of that receivable balance is related to West Virginia Treasury. That percentage grew, but the balance actually decreased. So we had payments both on the West Virginia Treasury side and on mainly individuals.
Mostly clinical revenue.
So now let's compare our financials to the budget. Revenue is 7% above budget. Clinical has been thriving. Salaries and wages, 11% above budget, and then operating expenses, 29% above budget. All the same reasons as before on the operating expense side, vaccines and renovations. That's why that's running high. Now, if we look at the very last page where we have our current year, prior year comparison. Last year in May of 2023, we had a deficit of 46,000. This year we have that deficit of 23,000. It's a low income month. Then we had the 3 payrolls this month as well.
Given the lateness of this meeting today, are these final or do you still have more?
There's only more.
You still have more,
Yeah.
so we'll do the finals. Yeah, just the way the timing came, so we're a little later than normal, but okay.
Yeah, there'll be some changes.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you. Any further questions for Charlie? None? We'll move over to the health officer.
Thank you.
Have fun repairing your plane.
We'll see.
That sounds like fun.
Repairing your plane,
I'm just making smart quotes.
smart plugs for a plane.
Karen, did we miss approving the minutes?
We already did that.
Okay.
Ocean City.
I know, I'm having a.
Put the cocktail down. Not happy hour yet.
Mimosa morning, huh? Got it.
Secrets isn't open yet.
You may have closed the
I'm
tab.
waiting for you to get here.
I know. Some of us have to still work for a living, Ann.
I know. It's a tough life, but somebody's got to do it.
Too good.
Okay. All right, so health officer appointment.
So yearly by code, the board approves appoints a health officer each year. For 1-year contract.
Mhm.
Requesting to be reappointed with the salary as in the budget, which is unchanged.
Unchanged.
Yep.
Okay. You're good with that unchanged?
And
Okay.
don't ask my wife.
Okay. All right. I guess we just need a motion then.
Yes.
All right.
I move that we appoint Dr. Reedy for another year.
All right.
Second?
All right. Any discussion? I just like to say thank you for your continued service and
Thank you.
professional guidance and all that you do.
So good to see changes. There's always lots of opportunities for improvement out there.
Right. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you, Dr. Reedy.
Agreed.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. You're stuck with us for another year. All right, fencing around septic reserve areas.
Yes, so I brought this up for your consideration because in the past year alone, we've had at least 4 approved, like where we have gone out and approved a septic reserve area that was fine when we approved it. And then after they got their permit, either a builder came in or somebody else came in and they basically destroyed the reserve area. So we've gone back out to either reissue a new permit or because the septic installer gets out there and they're like, we don't know what we're supposed to do out here. We can't install a class 1 system. So we're having, I'm dealing with another one right now that will probably end up being litigious. At least they've threatened. So, but their reserve area has been destroyed by the builder digging out for their home site. So, and they basically scraped over regraded the entire reserve area. And we have no requirements for really protection of those areas or even marking of those areas. So with that in mind, and the cost to homeowners when something like that happens, because they either have to get a class 2 permit or a surface discharge system or something else to try and make that work. And in rare instances, sometimes there's nothing that can be done. So
Okay, so I'm Holly homeowner. I have my permit and I'm putting in a septic system. Is it like the builder I bought my lot from that's doing this to me? Or is it I'm Holly homeowner and Mr. Builder's in the plot in the areas back behind me and then they're
it can be,
screwing it up?
it can be either situation, but we're finding more commonly it's the builder for the same lot that's ending up,
So they get the permit and then the guys come in to do something else on the lot and then,
yes,
okay.
yes. So
And this is
we
just
had one
temporary?
instance where a well driller, we think maybe took their equipment over it. So I was,
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is just temporary fencing, like a
Yes.
snow fencing kind of thing?
yes.
Okay.
So that is my suggestion. So the actual proposed verbiage to go out for public comment would be and in the highlighted section in your second page of section 4 of our local Board of Health rules. So it says the approved septic reserve area or areas, because they can have multiple reserves in one lot, must be staked off using a minimum of 3-inch by 1-inch metal fence stakes set at a minimum height of 4 feet above the ground and 12 inches in the ground, at least every feet on the perimeter of the reserve area, with yellow caution tape between each post marking the perimeter or boundaries and signage marking this area as the septic reserve area. Approved septic reserve areas must be fenced off in the above manner prior to the beginning of any construction, paving, grading, filling, or any other act that may damage the septic reserve area. Fencing may only be removed after construction has been completed. That's the language that I came up with for that, but
Do we have to be so specific in terms of stake size and that it has to be 12 inches underground? I mean, I understand the 4 height minimum, so it can't be just like a little 6-inch thing or whatever.
It's,
but
it's open for discussion, yeah,
Okay.
so definitely.
that feels a
So,
little.
with it, yeah,
think
I'm
that-
just trying to make
Oh.
sure that the stakes can't get knocked over
Sure.
basically by heavy
You were-
equipment.
You were referring to a very specific type of stake.
I am,
That's
yes.
so.
That, well, that too, because I do think that it should be metal stakes, like T stakes, because if you're just putting like a wooden stake in the ground, those
Those
aren't gonna hold up to heavy equipment, like.
There's a lack, there's a tremendous lack of understanding by lots of parties of what the septic system, the drain field needs to be. That it's not simply a conduit for water. It's got more function than that. And often people coming have no personal history of having had a septic system, and they don't understand how you can't interrupt with that. Do you want to explain what the
So this
purpose of the soil,
soils-
why you can't move the
People
soil?
don't often understand why soils need to be undisturbed, and it's because we need the most, like including the topsoil layer, we really need that layer in addition to all good undisturbed, not compacted, because once they're compacted, it's not going to filter the effluent that's coming into the system that's supposed to be filtered by the soil. So we need those good soils to filter the effluent, and we need enough good soils to give us the vertical separation between the basically groundwater or any bedrock or other limiting layers. So we need that vertical separation with soils that will filter the effluent. And once you grade over, compact, scrape off topsoils, you're destroying your reserve area. So, and we send out letters every time we issue permits with all of these things that they need to do to protect their reserve area, recommendations, but the letters go to whoever is the owner at the time, which could just be builder, developer, whatever, and the installer. So we don't know that the people that need to see them are seeing them, so.
So in the case of like, okay, so I'm somebody who just bought a home from a builder. It's being built, I paid for it. Builder then goes and destroys this reserve area. Now I'm out of a septic system option. I mean, what happens in that situation?
So if the house is already built, we try to do anything we can to work with it, but if there's not even an area for surface drainage, because you have to have somewhere for that to go. So it has to be able to drain into either a roadside ditch or a waterway that you have access to from your property. So if you don't have access to one of those two things, you could be out your house. You won't have a place to live. You won't have adequate sewage until something else happens, if you could get some sort of public. So.
And so does the homeowner have any sort of action against the builder in that
I mean, I can't
case?
really speak to that, but I would think, so the builder's the one that did that, but.
And did you
When
say-
is this coming up? During the construction of the house that you realize that this is occurring? Or
Yeah.
is this after the homeowner is already present in his home?
There's some instances of that, but we're not requiring it to be fenced off after that. We're asking for it to be required to be fenced off during construction, but there is also some instances where homeowners destroy their own septic reserve area by, say, putting a driveway or something over that. So, yeah, so, or, other things, but typically it's more protected after the construction of the home and once the homeowner has it, because the building department gets involved in anything else that they want to do. And as soon as they see that they have septic permits on those lots, they have to get approvals from us for whatever they're doing. But it doesn't mean that we haven't seen homeowners destroy their reserve areas. We have seen that too, but not usually to the same extent that is happening during construction.
My concern is this is adding another expense to the installation of that septic field as
It's
well.
a very small expense. So if you look at the cost of these metal stakes, they're about $8 each. And a typical septic reserve area, for 10,000 square foot area, would take about 8 of these to meet that requirement. So 8 times 8 is 64, and plus the installer will have to have the thing to drive the T-stakes in, which is like a $50 piece of equipment. So that one-time expense.
How long is this anticipated to be up? I mean, if this is put in before construction begins, wouldn't this need to be intact for months?
Yes.
So what is stringing between the stakes again?
It's
Caution
just,
tape?
yeah, so,
You
but
anticipate
the
that?
stakes will be every 50 feet apart, so, I mean, I thought about, maybe like the orange fencing or something. I mean, that could be too, but I was trying, to make it as doable as possible, but
We're trying to find a solution because we then get caught in the middle, like if someone
yeah. very
sells
much
their
so.
property that has previously been approved for us, and now they want to do something. Say it was a land that hadn't been built on, and we previously approved septic system, and now they want to build this beyond a year, but the ground's been significantly altered. Not someone put a forsythia bush there, but it's major stuff, and then go back and do it, and people are very upset. They want the ground assuming. So we're trying to figure out a way that to prevent this from happening, and we don't want any more regulations. Obviously, we wish we could infuse people with the knowledge and awareness, but that's not happening. This is not a one-time thing that it's happened. So we're open to absolutely any suggestions on ways to do it. This is, Gillian can see from being on the spot what might have made a difference.
This seems like an uptick. As you
Yeah.
said,
So
what-
could
what-
there simply be a sign erected in the middle of that 10,000 square feet and try to educate these septic installers to keep that intact until it's finished? But again, how do you keep policing that? It really becomes the builder's responsibility to know better than this.
I mean, that's
It
true.
is builder's
Yeah.
responsibility.
So, but something in the middle of a reserve area, I don't think is going to protect it, just a sign in the middle. So I don't, in my opinion, I don't think that will do much to protect the actual reserve area. I do want like signage on there with, that this is the septic reserve area, and we will probably provide something with more, information on ways to protect your reserve.
So what legal ramifications do we have with this? This is all basically still falls on the homeowner or the septic installer basically to preserve that area.
It does, but we still are dealing with consequences of things like this happening because one particular lot that I've been working with, or people that I've been working with or trying to work with, I mean, it's really destroyed, and they had a class 1 permit, but now all we can issue is a permit for a sand mound system. And they're not happy because that's gonna cost them $12,000 more than the class 1 system. And they're basically saying that what they did or their builders did to the lot didn't disturb the soils. They're arguing that, and they're trying to get experts involved. So it's just like outside experts saying that the soils are still okay for a class 1 system, but we've had several people evaluate the lot already and there's just no way. So, and even the previous installer that they had working for them said that he wouldn't put in a system that he knew wouldn't work. So we are dealing with ramifications because I'm putting in lots of time and effort with this one situation that didn't have to be a problem at all for them or for us if they hadn't graded over their reserve area.
How often does this occur?
Well, I don't have all those numbers for you. I do know that it has happened at least 4 times in this last year that I'm aware of. I feel like it is happening more often now than it was before. I don't know why. I don't know if it's new builders. I don't know what the problem is, why these reserves aren't being protected, or I don't know.
Is it happening again in like these sort of new developments, or are these onesies, like, you know, people that have larger lots that are building on their new dream home lot somewhere in the mountain kind of thing?
We've seen more like individual lots, I think, than the new developments so much,
Okay.
so.
So it's not necessarily a developer problem versus the individual
Right,
people who are doing their own sort of general contracting
Right.
management.
I think the new developments are tying into a system. Is that correct?
no.
They have their own septic as well?
Yeah,
A lot
A
of the
lot of
new
them do.
developments are still on septic systems, yeah.
our public utilities don't reach out.
Yeah, yeah.
This is one of the big issues for the county going forward, you know, the best plots that are available have already been built on.
We
And the-
still,
This is not simply like putting new sod down and it looks great. It's what's biologically happening, digesting and filtering the effluent from the septic system, which is more than just the veneer of the sod.
This is kind of way out of my wheelhouse, you know, I'm brand new with, I mean, my house I bought here has a septic. It was the first time I've owned a septic. I'm not, so I, you know, but my thoughts are like, you know, as opposed to something like this, is there anything that we've considered as far as this language that supports that we're we're giving a permit out, and this is the state of the plot at that time, any changes made to that plot may make this permit no longer valid.
we already have that language on the permits.
Okay, been there, done that.
We
Okay.
do, we have that language on the permits and in the regulations, so
Mhm.
the language is there that the permits will be null and void if there's any significant changes from the conditions
If there's
that
any questions
existed.
about changes that may impact it, call us. I mean, like, I would imagine that if there's something that's even in question, well, let's just make sure that that's not gonna mess up the permit.
Right, well,
Yeah,
yeah, they're not calling, so, and we do send out a letter with all the permits too, gives you a list of ways to protect your reserve area and things not to do, so.
Mhm. And this would apply for every permit, not just the onesie twosies, like all the developers that
Yeah,
are
we
doing
would,
this.
yes, this would be a general rule that applies to all of the septic permits that we issue.
Yeah, just to me, again, by my thought, that's a lot of, so I don't know how many do we do per year? So like if it was 4 in the past year, we're approving how many, like what's the percentage? Because we're looking for a change that impacts 100% of these permits to address
4 potentially.
4 out of
Right.
how many?
I don't-
Hundreds,
In the-
thousands?
In the
I
month,
don't think it's thousands, but
The
yeah.
12-month
it's-
average septic permits issued is 21.8.
Per month?
Yeah, on that, yeah.
That's
so-
that's a,
So
okay,
200 plus.
several hundred a year.
yeah,
And to Gillian's point, $64 could have saved this homeowner $12,000.
that's a good
And
point. Yeah, yeah.
And I think what Gillian is getting at is she's really trying to protect the homeowner here.
That's
Because we
helpful.
we obviously feel terrible. We own homes too in the county. We feel terrible when someone nonchalantly or misses that this area is not to be graded, but they want it to look a little nicer, so they have it graded. And that's done. Now you no longer have a class 1 septic system permit. They didn't even realize it was so casual, that the decision that was made was so casual that it impacted them to the tune of $10,000 or more.
Mhm.
Protecting the homeowner.
Protecting the
and-
homeowner.
And the ground and surface water. that
Absolutely,
these
of the
are.
neighbors.
You know, the failing, you don't always know a system's failed because it's not obnoxious enough to be aware of it, but it's we have more bacteria showing up when they're measuring it in
Oh, there's
streams.
somebody in the waiting room.
So,
Yeah.
So the,
Yeah,
so
like,
it's all the
again-
different reasons why you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
I understand, like, I get the rationale of trying to help the homeowner, protect the homeowner. But I also look at the builder, again, sort of the onesies and twosies, yeah, $100, no big deal, right? If I'm just building my own home, but when you've got a builder that's putting in 100 homes, that's substantial. And also, would it be the responsibility, especially in the building phase, is it the builder's responsibility? Is it the installer's responsibility? Whose
I
responsibility?
think it's probably going to be the installer that is responsible for it, so.
So like, for somebody like him, at least, a builder can recoup those metal stakes as somebody who owns several of them and they disappear when friends and family need to borrow them. But, so the builder can go pick them up, but the installer, while construction's still going, right, so it's kind of a bit of a loss for them. They can't reuse the T stakes. And I think they're more than $8, but
Yeah, I haven't shopped them in a while.
yeah, I haven't shopped them in a while.
Well, I looked it up recently, the 6-foot ones were $8, the others I think were cheaper, so.
Where is
It was
this?
at Home Depot.
Okay,
yeah,
all right, good to
so,
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
This-
I understand the rationale and I'm, if this board decides to go forward with it, I think that needs to be sort of messaged in the proposal of saying, because again, I'm worried about the homeowner that goes and buys a new home, thinks they're gonna have their new home and their new development, they're coming here and something happens because the builder did something and now literally they can't move into their own home, like ever, because the soils have changed. Like
Can
that
happen.
seems pretty drastic.
Well, and that is the reality of septic systems. Installing septic systems is a fairly fragile process when it comes to the soils, so.
I'm not disputing that at
Right,
all,
right.
but again, I think going to Brandon's point, sort of how many people are we solving for in this instance, and is this the right moment to do something like this? My other question too is, does this conflict at all with state statute? Like, are we allowed to do this under state law?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're allowed to impose any rules that are more stringent than what is already in the state rules. The state rules doesn't address how to protect your septic system during construction, so that's why we have this other set of local rules too that was approved.
Said 21 average per month.
That's what it says on.
Yeah, it's on
That's
our-
250 a year for, in the past year, that's 1.5%.
It is.
And again, today you would just be voting to put this out for public comment, and I imagine there will be comments on it. So it'll be more discussion before you're voting to actually approve the rule. So,
Well, yeah, there also could be more discussion before we even do further steps, partly
Right.
because you're transitioning
Yep.
away from here and then the board's gonna have one member change. So if we did, the person that would present this to the county commission for ultimate approval would not be you now.
no,
And so I would suggest,
This does have to go to the county commission or not?
yes, it is a rule, so it's part of our local rules, so it would be an amendment to the rule, so yes, county commission has to approve it.
That'd be before or after public comment.
Oh, that's after. So like the environmental fees rules that you just approved, now the county, we have
Same
30
thing.
days to get approval from the county commission for that rule to be effective.
Okay.
So,
I
and
got
that
it.
would be the same process for this. This is another rule that we're promulgating. So in order for it to be approved, it has to be 30-day public comment period. It has to be advertised appropriately for that 30 days. Then all those comments have to be addressed that we received in the comment period. And then the board could decide whether or not they want to vote to approve. You could table it, there's a lot of things you could do, so. And then after it is approved, if it is approved, it has to go to the county commission for final approval,
Mhm.
so.
Well, I would like to hear from Nathan about what he thinks our legal responsibility is with this, since we already hand out all of the information that what is supposed to be done in protecting that reserve system. And I'm not sure I'm in favor of enacting something that only affects 1.5% of the people and putting that burden on other people that pay attention. There is obviously in everything we do, we have some personal responsibility.
Yeah, maybe it's a recommendation versus an enforcement. We strongly recommend that you do this.
Cuts it off.
Yeah, but if you don't, you're assuming the responsibility.
Exactly.
The ones who are going to protect it in the first place will be the ones that do it.
That is already in the letters where we recommend if there's not a requirement, it will not happen. It will not.
And again, this goes back to the sanitarian staff under Gillian's leadership, trying to protect the homeowner ultimately. Because it's all in the paperwork that this needs to be protected and things like that. And I'm the last person who wants to add another rule.
Mhm.
But it's pretty painful when the homeowners
Yeah,
get
that
this,
1%,
get this
you don't wanna
change.
be that
You don't want to
percent.
be that
No,
1.5%.
I'm just, is
And
there
we
any
have-
other recourse to protect that 1.5%? And I don't know what it is, or if there even is, but that's kind of where my mind goes, is what are the other options for protection of that percentage?
I really think we're the only ones that can offer that protection because we can't count on other people in the community to make sure it happens. And
That's a good point too, and
So-
noted, yeah.
Well, I guess I also look at it though, it's like if the homeowner who's doing his own, general contracting management doesn't read the rules, that's sort of his own responsibility, right? If he goes and destroys the soils or whatever the case is. I know that's not the practice, like everyone's still gonna get mad at you, but I'm more kind of sitting there going like, but I'm more like, okay, if the builder who should know better goes and does this, and my dream home now just got destroyed because I can't move in. I think that's just it's sort of two different cases.
And again, does this give us another level of who is going to police this? You could put that barrier up and put those stakes in, and that's not necessarily going to stop somebody from driving over that or doing whatever they're going to do while they're in the construction of a house.
Agree.
Well, I think Ian, your suggestion maybe to get an opinion from Nathan may be good, or table this for further discussion.
Any other counties have any precedent here or have tried this? Has this been tried anywhere else?
I'm not sure. So,
Yeah,
Might be a good idea to look at best practices around this and see if anybody
Yeah.
does that. We'll let your successor do that.
Yeah, no, like I appreciate the intent and what you're
Absolutely.
trying to do. Like I completely understand that.
This is about doing, on our end, trying to do what's best for the homeowner, but again, it goes with all the classic Latin
law has
phrases,
good
caveat
intentions.
emptor, and, and do
Every-
your due diligence and all of that, know what you're getting involved in, right?
Every law has a great intent, but then there's
Personal
but there's
responsibilities,
also other consequences,
Yep.
unintended consequences. So I just-
absolutely.
I think we all feel, it feels like we're in agreement that we kind of want to understand a little bit more and what the consequences could potentially, again, that unintended side of it. The intention is good, absolutely.
right.
Yeah, it's,
And from a quality assurance standpoint, you look at the high volume things and all that, but you also look at those that have high consequence.
Mhm.
And this is certainly one that this is out of the ordinary, but it's not a one of, it's a pattern we
it's
see.
increasing.
How we prevent it, that's gonna work. Obviously, you need to know more people out there. Forget it.
And by approving it today, you open it up for stakeholders to come in to give their expertise on it too, and what it would cost them and affect that. So it gives the opportunity for the community, the county, to have a voice in it.
And raising the awareness, just,
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think assuming that they do that, that would be great, but with the fee increase, that we had 0 comments, and
True.
yeah. But I would hope that they would lean in and we could get a little bit more perspective from the community and the different, Yeah,
I
I'd
think
hope for
with the
sure.
septic, we tend to get more comments. We get more people involved with any changes to the septic rules. Everything that we've done in the past, there's been lots of comments and discussions
Okay.
about that, so.
All right.
The
that's good
fee
to know.
increase, we do normally get some comments, but,
I'm surprised that we didn't.
I know,
I was too.
I know.
Change fatigue. I just had a meeting about that earlier this week.
Changed. I don't even
Everyone
want to get
just
involved in that.
resigns, like, okay, what's
It's happening.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's real.
I was hoping it was more like the reputation and the improved quality of the department has helped with that a little bit too. Maybe
That's
they're looking at
better.
that going, you know what, they probably do need to raise the rates a little bit
Yeah,
to be
especially
to
if
be
they
properly
read,
and fully staffed and everything.
yeah, especially if they read the justification. There's a
Yes,
lot of
it was
rationale
it
for
was
it.
well rationalized for sure.
Yeah,
So to
I
you
don't-
guys, I'm not involved.
I'd like to hear what the lawyer has to say and if there's any other counties that have done this and then I think if it's messaged, hey, we're thinking about doing this, our ideas are protecting the homeowner. And what does the community think? And if there's gonna be a vocal, a lot of feedback, that's gonna help inform us. And I think that's what we need is more information. So,
Okay. All right, moving along then.
thank you, Jillian.
Thank you, Gillian. Agency activity report in environmental, Gillian, you again.
So.
Is there
Not a whole lot.
is there a category you can add in of number of destroyed reserve areas?
That's something we would love to not be on there.
So, yeah, it would be interesting to track some of those things, but we
So
do
we're a
have,
small minority.
yeah, it would definitely be a small percentage, but it's, that small percentage ends up creating lots of work for everybody involved and, expense for the homeowners, but yeah, we do get plenty of disturbed reserve areas for all sorts of reasons, so. Yeah, but our total number of inspections and on site visits last month was 183. The new sanitarian's almost completely, he's still not been released to do septic on his own yet, or to do the higher risk food establishments on his own yet, but that should be
Just Mason.
coming. Mhm. And then Savannah is being trained in septic right now too, so she will start being a generalist here very shortly, where she's doing everything, and she has started doing the other general establishment inspections as well. So we should soon have 4 people that are able to do septic work as well as the food inspections, and that should help. And as you all know, Tuesday is my last day, so we did advertise and we have interviewed 2 people. And I think we'll be making an offer hopefully later today to one of the individuals, so.
That's exciting.
Well,
Best
Thank
of
you.
luck in your new chapter.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service to the county. Wish you the best.
Yes, thank you, Gillian.
Thanks, Anne. It's been a pleasure working with you. I've worked with Anne, I think, the whole time. so.
Anything else on the environmental?
No, I don't think so. We have two people at a district in service right now. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't remember
Romney.
where they're at. Yeah, so.
Beautiful downtown Romney.
So just to get all the updates from the state and everything while they're there.
Anything on threat preparedness?
Brandon is out on training right now.
Okay.
And he also is in Romney. So Romney's a hot place for state stuff right now
Clearly.
between threat preparedness and environmental training. So he will be back in July, and he's doing a great job and really completely dove in head first, and I think was a great hire, and he's turned out to be incredibly enthusiastic and quite intelligent, actually.
And the training things that he goes to are actually interacting with the partners you don't deal with day to day, but when something bad happens, that's who you're.
Need to know those people. You don't want to meet them at the time of crisis. You want to know who they are prior to the crisis. That's kind of the big part of his job. So.
Clinical,
So Lindsay's not here today, the clinical activity report is here. As you saw in the numbers for last month, we didn't see quite as many people, which is not unusual that time of year. Family planning has slowed down a little bit due to illness of provider. And, hopefully that's going to pick up in a month or two. We're continuing to provide the services. And Spring is working full time as a LPN now, and she's getting retrained on each of the aspects. Not that she's been away from that role for a long time, but it's a good opportunity to standardize a lot of the practices so each of the nurses has full knowledge of all the areas, just as you're seeing in environmental, is that we are a generalist type of program. And they're going to be working with Jefferson Community Ministries to be doing some vaccines for some of the clinic patients they see there. So.
And strengthening our relationship with them. And the work that they do also gives us our nurses and our other practitioners access to the population center in the county, which is nice. Which they don't have here, unfortunately.
so also I want to roll into your health officer report.
So the same issues, we have continued with the substance use issues. Our peer recovery coaches are making more outreaches to different people involved. Met with the chief deputy, sheriff's office. We have an agreement pending with them for them to be referring people to us who are not legally involved, such that they're being arrested, although that's also fine. But there are a lot of people that come across and say, you need help. Here's a place you can start. Also, the public defenders, defending attorneys have been introduced to them, and we're getting occasional referrals, including working with people who have been incarcerated. They're Jefferson County residents that they're trying to get into treatment. So these are gaps in the current safety net that aren't there. And so it's we're providing more services than we did. Still hoping to get things changed so that the emergency services will be referring overdose survivors to us. That's been discussed with Nathan Cochran, who's also their attorney, regarding the confidentiality issues. We have submitted the request to the Office of Healthcare Facility Licensing to start the office-based medication assistance for people with opioid use disorders. That's something we talked about 6 or so months ago. And it's been we had a preliminary request, and so this is the final paperwork that's just been submitted. So those take time. So hopefully we'll hear from that, and we actually can start offering that treatment at any point. We probably will have, starting at the beginning of July. Spoken to other providers such as Eastridge Health Systems, which provides mental health services, and the Jefferson Day Report Center about collaborative agreements of sharing therapists and clients. Involves some expenses such as doing your own drug screen test. So because that costs money, we cannot offer this as a free service because there's laboratory has to be paid. So we were asked when we met with the day report, do we have a sliding fee program? And they have all of their services covered by Department of Justice funding grants, which every year is a new venture. So their clients are not charged. And they asked if we have a sliding fee, and we don't. So there may be agreements that we have where they actually will pay us for some services, but that's down the road, and we certainly have to have legal involved in anything like that. That's it right now.
Last but not least.
Everybody's taking stolen all my thunder. And Gillian said, already mentioned that we're sending out an offer to a candidate for the sanitarian supervisor position or the environmental health manager position. So we think we have 2 good candidates, and we think we've hopefully chosen the right one. You never know. We'll see. That individual will be available to be introduced to you at the next board meeting. I believe they'll be able to start at the beginning of July. So there'll be very little gap between Gillian's fine tenure and the opportunity for someone else to try to build on that. So that's great. We did fill the office assistant position. Her name is Shantae Selman, and Shantae is highly experienced working in clinical front desks. She's come from Meritus Health, and she's also worked at Jefferson Memorial Hospital when it was Jefferson Memorial Hospital. So she's very experienced, and she's already fitting quite well. So I just wanted to bring that up. So as Karen probably knows, the governor and the Senate approved an increase to local health departments. However, that has not yet been, the line items have not been updated yet. So as of right now, we're dealing with a slightly reduced state aid. Okay, but that should be changed hopefully within the next few weeks when they meet again to change the line items and change what the state aid amounts will be to individual health departments. And when I get those numbers, I'll bring this to you. So, but that was a little messy thing that went on, and I know you're familiar with what went on. So other than that, I have nothing else to say except we're doing okay.
So we've got our next meeting, July 12th. I also wanted to sort of put it out there for the team. Do we want to, and maybe this is too far in advance, but for August, since August tends to be kind of just slow in general, do we want to give people further in advance planning to skip? Actually, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that because we have to do our officers in August.
Indeed.
Never
The
mind.
question is whether you want to skip the July meeting.
Do we want to skip the July meeting?
That's good. That's up to you
Will I have your
guys.
new-
That's correct. That's correct. Because that won't happen until July 18th, I think. So maybe, is there anything pressing that you think?
No, I would just be bringing a slightly revised budget. That's all based upon what the county commission decides to do. And that may not even be locked in by July 12th, what the county commission decides to do on the fee, the
Right.
environmental fee increases. So
True.
So
Yeah,
that
'cause
I
it's
knew
30
we locked in,
days,
so I
so-
really wouldn't may not have those numbers either, so that's strictly up to you guys to decide that. That's your purview, but I can always email you too when, to update you on stuff like that.
Right. What do you guys think?
Up to you. Have we not, just skipped one in the winter time before?
We skipped December this past year.
Are we required to have 11?
No, we're required to have 6.
6.
Okay. Well,
Did you see that face? I'm going to Ocean City more.
Yeah, because we'll have a vacancy. We won't, we will have a vacancy still next time. We won't have the county commission action yet.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know,
The more I
so-
hear it, the more I'm sort of
Our
favored.
bylaws say the meeting in July is when we appoint the legislative office.
It's August.
Is it August?
Did we change it to August?
Yeah, it was changed to August. We've been back and forth on this.
I know, I can remember what. the-
But we can't do it because we don't have our seated person in July.
No, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
You're the experts on this one.
But I believe the bylaws were August.
I can look at that.
I mean, if y'all want to still meet, that's fine with me. I was just trying to give some people some relief on.
Yeah, I'm
summer.
comfortable with skipping July. And we'll be one short in July anyway, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
I would be interested to hear what the county has to say and what the state has to say about the aid.
I do not know this for sure, that, so the prior commissioner can stay on if they agree and the board agrees, but so we potentially could still be.
So you're trying to keep us in school, Dr. Reedy?
No, I'm just
I
saying
do
that
think that she agreed
No,
to
I,
stay until somebody
she
else
did.
was appointed.
She
So
did.
there is that, yeah.
You guys
But
are,
it's up to
this
you.
is your board, you're free to.
All right, we'll keep July 12th because staff is sitting there fighting this.
I'm actually happy about
Whatever.
that. I didn't want to say, I think you should keep it, but you should keep it.
You guys are all nerds.
So much for summer.
I'm
It's like 2 hours. You haven't even 2 hours.
I don't know, you talk a lot, you know.
I'm trying not to.
This was actually quite the efficient board meeting, thank you.
All right, is there a motion? We'll see everybody in July in some form or fashion with nothing to do. Just kidding.
Maybe it'll be a 30-minute one like we had last.
That would be
July.
fabulous. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Or would we all like to hang out for another hour? All those in favor say aye.
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 Can you-
All right.
yeah, can you stop the recording?
We are adjourned.
I just wanted to.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ann.
Do you want Ann to stay on?
No, she.
Okay.
We're closing and turning off the recording.